Welcome to Bespoke Diaries. Today's article is on When Teachers Make All the Difference, by Bill Kilpack, author, USA. Bill has been very lucky to be surrounded by people who have been supportive and contributed to him developing his writing skills and creativity. Many of those people were teachers who seemed to recognize his potential and went out of their way to help him along that road. People are quick to criticize public school, but he stands as proof of how some select teachers really made their mark in his life. Specifically, Bill has to thank Ms. Adams, Mrs. Ferrin, Mrs. Dumond, Mrs. McKinnon, Mrs. Sawyer, Dr. Fogo, and Dr. Hodgson. At Westvale Elementary School in West Jordan, Utah, Ms. Adams taught him gifted and talented class when he was 9 years old. She is directly responsible for his first publication credit. For her class, he wrote a poem. There was a contest through the local newspaper and she submitted that poem on his behalf. He didn't even know she did it. Then the poem won first place and was published. After, she started a school newsletter and, whether he wanted to or not, she put him on staff as a writer and the cartoonist, giving Bill his first taste of journalism and receiving positive feedback for his drawing. At West Jordan Middle School, in 6th grade, Mrs. Ferrin taught my language arts and gifted and talented classes. She suggested that he does not do the same writing assignments as everyone else in those two classes. Instead, she suggested that he writes a new chapter of a novel for each assignment, regardless of the actual lesson plan. As a result, by the end of the year, Bill wrote his first novel, which he still has. From that moment on, his career goal changed from wanting to start his own comic book company to novelist. At Joel P. Jensen Middle School, in 8th grade, Mrs. Dumond was his computer science teacher. She read his handwritten manuscripts for a sci-fi trilogy he had written and was incredibly supportive. When only a few pages into the first book, she pulled strings for him to be her student aide, but his time was to be spent typing up his books, since he didn't have a computer at home. History seemed to repeat itself as she started a school newsletter and assigned him to be the staff photographer because his dad had taught him how to use a bulk loader. Remember film? Mrs. Dumond then said, and maybe you should be doing some writing for the newsletter, too. At West Jordan High School, in 9th grade, his honors English teacher, Mrs. McKinnon, was extremely supportive. She would read his stories to the class, be it excerpts or the entire piece. When Bill told her he had written several novels, she didn't say that she didn't believe him, but told him to prove it. So he brought in some maps he had drawn for the setting for that first novel he wrote when he was 12. They were large pages that interconnected and covered about 10 square feet of floor. She was amazed at the amount of work, the detail, etc., then persuaded the school to laminate them for him at no cost. Again, he has those maps still. In 10th grade, Mrs. Sawyer, who taught him journalism class and was the newspaper and literary magazine advisor, really pushed him to write. She read his work, persuaded him to take part in newspaper staff for 3 years, first as a columnist and cartoonist, then as a staff writer, until he was editor-in-chief his senior year. For literary magazine, she selected a lot of his writing and art, and he eventually served as editor for 2 years. At Westminster College of Salt Lake City, Dr. Fogo taught most of his communication classes and was the newspaper advisor. He really helped Bill raise his level of writing to a higher level. When he marked up Bill's work, he was more than happy to discuss the edits, particularly why they were necessary. Knowing why is so important to learning. Again, history repeated itself, with Dr. Fogo pushing him until he served as editor. That college-level mentorship continued at Westminster when he was getting his master's degree with Dr. Hodgson. She taught most of the writing classes he took and really forced him to learn the mechanics of writing. He can still hear her voice saying, "These are a writer's tools, seems kind of silly not to know how to use all of them." Again, she forced him to raise his level as a writer. Most of this is written in gratitude to some specific teachers throughout his life, but he also had parents who really supported his creativity. Has been encouraged throughout his life, dating back to when he wasn't even school age. He used to go to his mom and ask her to feel his head because he was pretty sure that he was growing horns. She felt his head with both hands and said, "Yep, I can feel them." When he went back again, she said she was sure they were bigger than the last time, and so on. When he was a teenager, he wanted to enter a contest for teen novelists, but we didn't have a computer, so his dad paid a secretary at his work to type his handwritten manuscript. Of course, both would read his work and make comments, even if it was a single word written in pencil in the margin. Good. All of these were stones on the path to where he is today, internationally published and awarded, with critically acclaimed and award-winning novels in the epic fantasy series, The New Blood Saga, Crown Prince, Order of Light, and Demon Seed, and his sci-fi novella, Pale Face. Crown Prince won the Firebird Book Award and Pale Face received special recognition from the L. Ron Hubbard Writers of the Future contest. As a freelance writer, Bill has been published hundreds of times, be it poetry, news, fiction, or non-fiction, and that's not even counting all the publications where he was on staff. So he has to raise his hand and say thank you to all those teachers who went out of their way for me, to try to help his progress and learn. Bill doesn't know if he could have managed it without them. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Do leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For similar type of article, please reach us at contact@thebespokediaries.com, or you can visit our website www.thebespokediaries.com.